equipment because one manufacturer has better political connections to like guys like a Rubio or like a Cruz, where they have better connections to Washington. And we order equipment that in many cases they don't want. And the stuff they want, we don't order because that firm, you know what I'm talking about, that firm is not political or is not strong political. So we're going to get the right equipment. We're going to get the great equipment. We're going to get the stuff the generals and the soldiers want. And we're going to build up our military, and we're going to have a really ready and brilliant military that hopefully we'll never have to use. Look, I didn't want to go into Iraq. I was against going into Iraq. Somebody said, oh, I mean, Donald with his, he's a strong guy with the trigger. Let me tell you something. I'm the least guy in terms of that. But we have to be prepared. We have to be prepared. We're not even prepared. When General Ordiano left, he was on one of the shows, which I hate to see that he's on a show, to be honest, because I don't like our generals, even if they're leaving being on a show. And I didn't like what he said. He said we have a level of unpreparedness that he's never seen before. And I think he means going back hundreds of years. I mean, I think he actually was talking about we're the least prepared that the country's ever been. Now, number one, it's good. I like to hear that only from the standpoint that we have to know to fix it. But I hate for the enemies to hear that. When an enemy sitting in other parts of the world is listening to a general who's leaving talking about how unprepared our country is, that doesn't exactly put us in a position that we want to be. So anyway, but we are going to take care of our military. We're going to take care of our vets. We're going to really take care of our vets. And there's so many things we're going to be able to do from. Our vets wait sometimes, Chris, 6-7 days just to see a doctor. Your suicide rate is the highest rate that anybody can even think of. You can't even believe it can be this high. But our vets are being taken care of very poorly. I put it in a plan. We have a whole big policy plan on the vets. But one of the things we're going to do, if somebody's got to wait 6 days to see a doctor, where a simple pill or a shot or maybe a simple procedure can take care of them, instead they're virtually dying, it's not going to happen anymore. We're going to get that so that those people can go see a local doctor, those people can go into a local hospital, they'll take care. By the way, we'll pay for it. It's going to be much cheaper, and people aren't going to be dying. They're not going to be dying.
Yep. And now I know I've heard this, and I know you've heard it too. Hillary Clinton says that there is no crisis at the VA, that there is no problem at the VA. That's because she doesn't have to go to the VA to get her medical care. But it's just another example of the differences in this election. And as we move now towards the fall election, I think people would like to get maybe even just a little preview of how a President Trump would be much different than Hillary Clinton.
Well, first of all, she did say that. She said there's no problem with the VA. And when I heard that, it was, to me, incredible. Now, a little bit later, then she corrected her statement. But you know what she means. She means there's no problem. Look, she doesn't have the strength and she doesn't have the energy to be president. I can tell you that. There's no... And I'll say it loud and clear, and it doesn't make any difference. Because you know what? I don't need to be doing this. Honestly, people said, why are you doing this? I have this great life. I'm doing it because of the fact that this country has been so good to me, and this country's in serious, serious trouble. 19 trillion in debt, soon to be 21 trillion in debt because of the ridiculous budgets that were passed over the last 3 months. And I'm doing it because I want to, it's called giving back. I am really giving back. I am all over the place. We see what I've learned, Chris. The people in our country are unbelievable. And I want to see Apple products made in this country, not in China. And we're going to see it. And we're going to see it. So, a case I give all the time is Carrier and Ford and Nabisco and all these companies that are moving out. You have it too from here. I mean, from North Carolina, your businesses have been devastated by right? Is that a correct? They've been devastated. You know where they've been devastated? By people that are incompetent on trade deals. Your people are leaving. You had these great jobs 10 years ago, 20 years ago. You don't have them anymore because they're in different countries. We're going to bring our jobs back, folks. They're coming back to North Carolina, and we're going to bring our jobs back. We're bringing them back. And believe me, And I'm not just playing games. As sure as you're sitting there, your jobs have been taken away. Now, the other thing, and the reason I think we have this incredible enthusiasm, and by the way, Chris, you know, look at Time Magazine. Look at, for weeks, it just covered it. They say it. I'm saying it. Got a lot of reporters back there. It's going to be, you know, affirmed. In the history of our country, nothing like this has ever happened. Where, I mean, you go outside, seriously, you go outside, you have thousands and thousands of people wanting to come into this auditorium. Thousands of people. We go out to speak. We have crowds that are record-setting crowds, like the day before the election, and here we are many months away from the election, because our people want to see something great happen. They feel it. They can feel it. But the biggest story in all of politics is, and of all, you know, of all things, Republican. I mean, Republican, that used to be like a word people were thinking obsolete. The biggest story in all of politics worldwide is what's happening to the Republican Party in the United States. The United States we have numbers going and voting in the primaries that are millions and millions and millions of people more. Chris knows it better than anybody. You see it. We have people going out to vote by the millions more. Now, the Democrats are down 35% from 4 years ago. The Republicans, because who's going to vote for Hillary or Bernie? I mean, there's nothing exciting there, honestly. You take a look at those two. Who's going to vote for them? Thank you. And see, that's the reason these people are put here. They're disruptors because the Democrats see what's happening. The Democrats, this is so important. The Democrats see what's happening. Maybe, and it's been reported, in the history of our country, it's a big statement too, and I'm just repeating the press. Nothing like this has ever happened. This is a phenomenon. The Democrats are seeing what's happening, and they try and disrupt what's happening, but it's not a big deal. They stand up, they shout for a couple of seconds, and they get whizzed out. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. No, it's not. But many millions of people, and sometimes I'll be shaking hands or I'll be signing at the front, and we do the rope lines, right? But sometimes I'll be signing. And so often, people will say, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60, 70, they'll say, Mr. Trump, I've never voted before, ever, and I'm voting now. I'm telling you, this happens like 20 every time I come to a place. It's unbelievable. So we're taking from the Democrats. Remember the Democrats for Reagan? We have it bigger. It's Democrats for Trump. It's a bigger number. So it's Democrats. We're taking also, though, from independents, big league, and we're taking from people that have never, ever voted before, and they're 50 years old in some cases. And the numbers are astronomical. And who would have thought this is happening to the Republican Party? Because a lot of people were saying the Republican Party is obsolete. And we do have obsolete people in the Republican Party. We have a lot of leaders that are obsolete because they don't understand what's happening. But I will tell you, off the record, there are only many cameras back there, but there are a lot of people that are calling me, top people in the Republican Party, and they're calling me and they say, we want to get onto this train because this train is unbelievable. They've never seen anything like it. And when we go into an election against probably Hillary, because she's probably going to make it even though she shouldn't be allowed to with the email scandal, shouldn't be allowed to. Look, you know she's guilty. I mean, she's guilty.